All right. Nazara Technologies, their investor presentation, and that Q1 FY25 earnings call. They've been busy. Analysts are definitely paying attention.
Yeah, a lot going on. It's not just the numbers, though, is it? It's about figuring out what they're doing right. The gaming world changes so fast. Esports, too. I mean, physical entertainment centers. Who saw that coming?
Yeah, big moves for sure. Big ambitions, too, from what we've seen. Maybe we should take a step back, though, for a sec. Some of our listeners might not be, totally up to speed on Nazara.
Right.
They're huge in India, of course, but they're global, too. Mobile games, esports, you name it, they're involved. But lately, it's been all about the acquisitions. Fusebox, Paperboat apps, NOD expanding in Europe like crazy. Is this all according to plan? Or are they just, throwing money around?
Well, they're definitely aiming high, 300 core EBITDA by FY27. That's their target.
Ambitious.
Very. And how are they going to get there? Two main things they keep saying. Grow that core gaming segment and, strategic acquisitions.
So it is strategic. It's not random.
Well, that's the idea anyway, right?
Okay, so how about we break this down a bit? What's the strategy behind all these acquisitions?
So they're looking for a few things. Companies with established IPs, recognizable brands, franchises.
Sure, makes sense. Built-in audience right there.
Exactly. Less money spent on getting new users. They also want companies that are already profitable. Smart. They don't want to take on too much risk.
Makes sense. So it's less about taking a gamble on something brand new and more about folding in something that's already working.
Right. And then there are what they call tuck-in acquisitions.
Tuck-in?
Yeah, smaller companies that fit in, with what Nazara already does. Create synergies. It's all about synergy.
Like open play?
Bingo. They're real money gaming platform. Classic tuck-in. But it's not just about who they're buying, right? It's about the games themselves. Nazara's putting a lot of emphasis on casual games, social games you can play anywhere, anytime. They're also really paying attention to demographics. Women, kids, those are markets that, a lot of developers, they don't really get it.
Interesting. So they're looking at these underserved markets. Smart.
And on top of all that, they're dipping their toes in XR.
XR. Talk about the future. Speaking of the future, I was going through their investor presentation. They mentioned this whole Nazara loyalty platform.
Yeah.
Connecting the online stuff with, offline. What's the deal with that?
They want to create this whole ecosystem. Your Nazara experience isn't just on your phone anymore. It's everywhere. Imagine this. You're playing your favorite mobile game and you earn rewards that you can use at an actual physical Nazara entertainment center.
So they're thinking big picture.
Oh, yeah. It all ties into these acquisitions we've been talking about, especially the esports and entertainment stuff.
It's like a whole Nazara universe. Sounds amazing. But what are the challenges? How do you actually make something like this work?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, right? It's not easy to integrate all these different businesses. You've got to make sure it all works together seamlessly. And they need to create loyalty programs that actually make people want to, stay within the Nazara world.
Keep them coming back for more.
Yep. And they can't forget about the user experience, online and offline. It all has to be top-notch.
So lots of challenges and lots of moving pieces. To really wrap our heads around all this, let's break it down. Nazara has three main business segments: gaming, esports, and ad tech. We'll start with gaming. They've got Kidopia, which has been doing really well, like top 3 grossing kids app in the U.S.
Impressive.
Super impressive. But looking at the earnings call, subscriber numbers seem to have plateaued a bit recently. What's their plan for getting things moving again?
So yeah, Kidopia's hit a bit of a bump. Their strategy seems to be, you guessed it, IP.
More acquisitions.
Well, they already bought the rest of Paperboat apps.
Right, Kidopia's parent company.
More control, opens up opportunities for synergy.
Synergy. Everyone loves synergy, but how's that going to boost their subscriber numbers?
Nazara's banking on familiar faces. They're looking to license popular IPs.
Yep.
Famous cartoon characters, stuff like that. Then they work them into Kidopia's educational games.
So they're using these big names to attract new users.
It's worked for other companies, especially in those new markets that are just getting into gaming. People know the characters. They trust them.
Makes sense. It's like a shortcut to building trust. You see Iron Man on the box and you think, okay, this must be good.
Exactly. Parents trust it. Kids get excited. Win-win.
Okay, let's talk about their real star player, Animal Jam. This app is crushing it. Consistently the top grossing app in its category.
It's a beast.
And they're laser focused on in-app purchases. Always coming up with new stuff. Like those dragons they just added. Adorable. Anything stand out to you about this segment?
Animal Jam is just killing it when it comes to monetization. Their average revenue per paying user, that's ARPPU. It's gone through the roof. People say in-app purchases are dying.
Yeah.
Not for Animal Jam. They built this amazing virtual world that kids just want to spend time in, and they've made the in-app purchases feel fun, not, sleazy.
So they're proving the doubters wrong. They figured out the formula. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, though, right? Open Play, their real money gaming platform. That whole thing with the new GST rules in India.
Yeah, that's been tough. The whole RMG sector in India has been hit hard.
Can you give us a little more context on that?
So the Goods and Services Tax Council, they decided to raise the tax rate for online gaming. It went from 18% to 28%. That's a huge jump, really impacts profitability.
Wow, yeah, that's a big jump. Why the sudden change, though? And what does this mean for the gaming industry in India in general?
The government, they want to treat online gaming revenue more like, betting, gambling. Those have always been taxed at a higher rate. A lot of people in the industry, though, they're saying it's going to stifle innovation. That India could be a real powerhouse in gaming, but this tax.
That's holding them back. So it's a bit of a controversy then. How's Nazara dealing with all this? There's been some chatter that they might have to change their strategy significantly because of this. What are your thoughts?
It's a challenge for sure, but they're adapting. They're looking at buying some of those smaller RMG companies, diversify a little, maybe offset some of those losses in the short term. And they're really trying to make Open Play's tech as efficient as possible. Might even expand to different markets where, the rules are a little more favorable.
Always good to have a backup plan. Speaking of new ventures, one that really caught my eye was their acquisition of Fusebox Games. They create mobile games based on those popular TV shows. Love Island, Big Brother. What's the story there? How does that whole model even work? Is it sustainable?
Smart move by Nazara, honestly. Fusebox, they're all about leveraging those existing fan bases. Think about it. They don't have to spend nearly as much on marketing because people already know the shows.
It's brilliant when you think about it.
Instead of dumping money into ads, they're paying for that brand recognition, that built-in audience.
Yeah.
And they do it through revenue sharing. They give a portion of their earnings to whoever owns the IP.
So it's more of a partnership than like buying the rights outright.
Right. And the margins looking good, really good. Less spent on user acquisition means more potential profit. The real kicker, though, is Fusebox's game engine.
The game engine?
Yeah, it's their own. Nazara's planning on using it for other IPs, other regions, too.
It's all about scale, right? Find a winning formula and then just replicate it.
Exactly. Speaking of expanding, esports. Nazara's bread and butter, NOD Gaming. They're a giant in India.
And they're making a global push now, too, right?
Big time. And their media revenue through the roof. Thanks in part to events like the BGMI Master Series. They stream that on Star Sports, by the way.
Wow, Star Sports. That's huge. What kind of impact did that have?
Game changer. Millions of people who probably had never even heard of esports, suddenly they're watching it on one of the biggest sports channels in India.
Talk about reaching a new audience. So they've got the online world cover. They're making moves in traditional media. And then there's Smosh Entertainment.
Yeah.
They acquired them too, right? The physical entertainment centers, arcades, bowling alleys. It seemed like a strange move to me at first. Why? What's the connection? How does that fit into all of this? It does seem like an unexpected move on the surface, right? What's the connection between virtual esports and physical entertainment centers?
It's not about the arcades themselves, right? It's like they're trying to blend the physical and the digital.
So it's not just about having arcades. It's about creating an experience that bridges the gap between the virtual and the real.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just them. This is happening everywhere. It's like this whole hybrid gaming thing.
Hybrid gaming. I like it.
Imagine going to an NOD tournament at a Smosh place, surrounded by other fans, the energy. Or think about it this way. You're a kid playing Animal Jam, and you get something in the game, a reward, and you can use it at a Smosh center.
Okay, now I see what they're going for. It's about creating a holistic Nazara experience that goes beyond screens. They're crafting a whole entertainment ecosystem.
Yeah, a Nazara world. Whether you're online or offline, it doesn't matter. It's pretty ambitious, though, I gotta say.
Definitely one to watch. But let's not forget about Nazara's third key segment, ad tech, represented by their subsidiary, DateWorks.
This part always seems a bit mysterious to me. Can you shed some light on what DateWorks actually does and how it fits into Nazara's grand scheme?
DateWorks, they're like the glue,
Okay.
They connect Nazara's stuff with the players, millions of them.
So they're the ones ensuring those players see the right ads at the right time.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's not just about getting those ads in front of eyeballs. They handle everything, optimizing the campaigns, figuring out new ways to do advertising. They're essential for getting new users and then, making sure those users spend money.
It sounds like a critical piece of the puzzle, especially in today's crowded digital landscape. For sure. And here's the thing. They don't want to just do services anymore. They're putting a lot of effort into creating their own products, ad tech products.
And they're expanding into the U.S. market, right? Which is a bold move considering the level of competition there.
It is, but they're confident. They think they've got what it takes to compete. They know mobile gaming. They've got these new products.
DataWorks is definitely a company within a company to keep an eye on. They're setting themselves up for some interesting developments. But let's bring it back to the bottom line. We've talked strategy, acquisitions, expansion, but how is Nazara actually performing financially? Are they making money?
Bottom line, they're doing well, still profitable. Q1 FY25 was strong, 250.1 crores in revenue. EBITDA was 24.9 crores.
That's 14 profitable quarters in a row since their IPO. That's incredibly impressive, especially in the often volatile gaming industry.
They know what they're doing. They're also really good at adapting. Got to remember, though, some parts of the business are struggling. Open play, for example, that whole RMG thing with the GST.
So it's not all smooth sailing. There are definitely challenges on the horizon.
Always is, right? Especially in the gaming world, things change so fast, and they've also been spending a lot. Animal Jam, for example. User acquisition costs money.
But they've got a healthy cash position.
Yeah, they've got cash. Plenty of it. They can weather the storm and keep investing.
That's good news for investors. Speaking of investors, have there been any notable changes in Nazara's shareholding pattern recently?
It's interesting. A lot of the big institutional investors, they're increasing their stake in Nazara.
Really? Like who?
Plutus Wealth Management, SBI Multicap, ICICI Prudential, the big guys.
So the big players are placing their bets on Nazara's continued success.
Seems like it.
It's like everyone's holding their breath, watching to see if Nazara can pull it off. This ambitious plan to create a holistic gaming and entertainment ecosystem. But integrating such a diverse portfolio of acquisitions is no easy feat.
It's a gamble for sure. A lot of risk, but if it works.
Big risk, big reward, right? I mean, are they biting off more than they can chew? Or could this be, the start of something huge?
That's a good question. They're definitely shaking things up, though. They're not afraid to try new things, push the boundaries, that's for sure. And they're doing it in gaming. Esports.
They're not just playing the game, they're changing the rules.
Yeah.
And that's what makes them so fascinating to follow.
So totally agree. The ambition, the innovation, they're all about growth, nonstop.
This has been, a lot to unpack. We've covered so much. Their goals, the acquisitions, how they make money, the challenges, even some of the potential problems.
We really went deep. But I think we can both agree Nazara's got a clear vision, and they're not afraid to go for it.
You're definitely a company to keep an eye on. Okay, so we're wrapping up this deep dive into Nazara Technologies. Big picture, what's your main takeaway? What should our listeners remember from all of this?
They're at a turning point. That's how I see it. Nazara's mapped out their future, but it's not going to be easy. Can they make all these pieces fit? Can they deal with the regulations and keep growing at this insane rate? We'll see what happens. Give it a few quarters, maybe a few years. We'll know more then. It's a cliffhanger. I love it. And the best part, we get to see how it all turns out.
We've given you the background. Now it's up to you to decide. What do you think? What's next for Nazara?
Will they conquer the entertainment world? Or will it all come crashing down? Only time will tell. This is The Deep Dive, signing off. Keep exploring, keep learning, keep diving deep.